we're live. Hi, everybody. Happy International Women's Day. This is the first time we are doing this. This is TEAM Miyara. My name is Sanjana. I'm one of the founders of Miyara along with Gayatri. And here we have the rest of our team, some of our team, and really happy to be here and have this kind of discussion. What Miyara does, Miyara is a health platform for women in midlife, where we offer information and resources as well as customized wellness programs. So we support women at home, in the workplace, and wherever they are. So today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic and something that we are very passionate about. That is what our thoughts are about, what different things we've heard about perimenopause and menopause and whether they're true or not. So to start off, maybe we will go around the room. I will start with Ayshwarya. So when we go around the room, please introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do at Miyara, and then we can talk about the myth and discuss it.
Thank you, Sanjana. I'm Ayshwarya. I am the content sort of manager at Miyara. So I oversee the blogs. I write some and I edit, fact check, and so that all the information we provide to our clients are science-backed. So that's my job here. So, and the most common myth I hear, I'm in my late 30s. So when I talk to people my age, they look at me like seriously an alien. What, menopause now? Like that. So what people don't understand is even though there is a genetic factor, your moms or your aunts may have undergone menopause much later, but that's not the only thing that affects menopause. And now recent research shows that especially for Indian women, the menopause age has come down. And especially compared with the global average, it's quite a difference. So if it's somewhere in the late 40s, yeah. So if that's the status, and we will be, it's established that the menopausal symptoms start up to 8 years, even for some people, it's a longer duration. So that means anytime you can expect, even in your late 30s. So my opinion, it's better to be prepared and be happy if you're not, it's not as bad as you've thought about it. So I think it's better to know about it rather than panic, when it hits you.
So you're saying people think that 30s is too early to think
yes.
about menopause.
Even early 40s, mid 40s, women are in total denial,
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people can accept girls hit menarche much earlier than the previous generation, I'm surprised they are not willing to come to terms with this. It's the start and the end. So if you can accept that part, why not this?
Yes, absolutely. That I think we've been in a couple of conversations ourselves where we've had to tell people that, perhaps you should consider that you could be experiencing symptoms, and they're all quite surprised or shocked. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add, Gayatri.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, it's also because I think we're not aware that perimenopause has symptoms that seem like the things that affect you on a daily basis, like say irritability or mood swings. We just ignore it and think of it as the stress during that life stage because of your kids or your family. We don't think that it could be actually a hormonal issue or a medical issue. So I feel that that's one of the major knowledge gaps, the whole what happens before you hit menopause. Menopause is when you have 12 months of no periods, you say you're in menopause. But there's a huge knowledge gap on how do you reach that stage? And just like Ayshwarya, I think mentioned in menarche, once you start getting your periods, it takes a few years for it to settle into a routine. And similarly, there is a period before which your periods completely stop. And that period is again a roller coaster of hormones, or roller coaster of symptoms and emotions and things. So it's that knowledge gap, and hopefully we are able to bridge that knowledge gap, Miyara.
Richa, do you have anything to add? You're on mute. You can all unmute yourselves, I think, in general. Yeah, Richa.
Yeah, no, I think I was also having similar thoughts as Gayatri, that often perimenopause is not actually so much known even as a term. Like while growing up, I had heard about menopause, but I would say perimenopause is something I got more in touch with as I started talking to you all and just hearing it. It's getting more common. So the awareness of the term is probably now coming into the forefront, but what exactly are the symptoms there is not so known, and that's why it gets ignored.
Yeah.
And it's often overlooked as something happened. Plus, when we talk to our moms, they also often help us ignore it, like, no, this is too early for you to have, don't be stupid, and just overlook it. And right, in their way, they are going by their experiences where they experience menopause much later than this age. So that's where I think a lot of awareness generation is needed to really make everyone's life more comfortable.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The word perimenopause, I mean, I didn't hear of it till I started kind of working in this field. We only hear of menopause, and we often, I guess you all have realized, we often, before we used to joke about it, like, oh, I just want to reach menopause. And now I'm like, I have so much of a better, yeah, I mean, I understand what women go through, being in this age group. I have more empathy for myself and for women around me. Anu, your thoughts?
Okay. Thank you, Sanjana. Happy International Women's Day to the rock stars here on the screen and to everybody else who's going to be listening to this. So I think Ayshwarya very nicely articulated when she began. The thing is, it's a whole process in that life stage. Like when a young girl gets her first period, it's not like one morning it happens, right? The women around her, the mother, they're watching for signs. There are growth spurts. There are things that happen physiologically and biologically in her body, and then she's ready to have the first period. And I think if we can compare that to menopause, I think women are not somehow being body aware of what's going on to recognize the symptoms of that whole perimenopausal journey. And I think, like some of you have already said, if all of us collectively can put out that knowledge, so any small change is just being attributed to a career or a social or a family issue, but perhaps these are just symptoms of the woman's journey towards menopause itself, right? And I think we need to understand that, and there are solutions available. And I think more power to us. I think we need to just start accepting it as we have accepted every other life stage before this. So 30s is not young at all. I mean, we could be having symptoms and just be attributing to everything else other than menopause.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So what you're saying is there should be some level of preparedness that happens in your life to go through this life stage as well. No, that absolutely makes sense.
Even if it's going to come later, why not know about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Anu. Go on.
Go ahead.
Like I'm saying, right? With young girls in the house, the mothers are constantly prepared for that day that she's going to first have the period. Nobody is caught by surprise. So why are we as grown-up women not preparing ourselves for menopause? Right? So that's
Richa, you were saying something?
No, I just want to probably kind of closing it on that note that, even if you think of your science textbooks, you just study about, the reproductive system and around 13 when menses starts. And then you also have read about menopause. I think that also comes as a mention, that phase when women grow older. But perimenopause doesn't find a mention. So that's a starting point, right? It is not something a part of our regular studies and curriculum to understand this phase and accept it as normal. And that's where the stigma starts building up that this is something unusual, I've not heard about it. And that has to change.
Absolutely. No, that's a good bridge to kind of talk about other myths or things that we've heard. So I'll move on now to Gayatri.
Hi, I'm Gayatri. I am a scientist and the co-founder of Miyara, along with Sanjana, and this wonderful team. So happy International Women's Day to all of you and all the people who are watching this. It is wonderful to be in this space talking about women's health. Because I think as I grew older and I was reading science articles and I realized that, wait, there is so many things that was going on in my body and I didn't know what was happening. And I would go back and start researching because I'm in that space. But then I realized that not all women will be doing this. They'll be going through certain things in their body and will not know where to look for answers or will not know what to do. And this is, I think, somehow, this is how Miyara was born. And Sanjana and I were discussing these topics and we're like, why not talk to other women about it? But it's also not only about that, it's also about providing them with solutions. So as we find solutions, we're like, okay, we need to let them know also about these solutions. So that's how we were started Miyara. So what I'm going to talk about is one of the things that we have learned in the process of working in this space is that probably what women or most people think is doctors have solutions to all our issues. Well, the fact is that doctors are trained on the science that was available on when they were trained on a specific topic. And it's not that they don't know, they're very specialized, they know a lot of things, but unfortunately, science or the research has not also reached that point, and especially research in women's health. For a long time, apart from just the reproductive health, now everything else was, it was considered uniform between men and women. And then there was also a stage where a lot of the research was done only on men and then extrapolated to women because there were issues where women are having these periods, they're having hormonal cycles, we don't know how these medicines work on them, so we will not even bother with them. We will just do all the trials on men and then extrapolate it to women. There was also a controversial study at one point and hence this whole thing came about. But the point is that when there is what we have realized today in the last 20, 30 years is that things affect women differently. So there is more research being done on women's health. And now the information is being transferred to the doctors, it's going into their training, but it's not that they're trained in everything. And the research also has to get to that level, the training has to get to that level, and then they will be able to answer all the questions that the patients have. So it's just something to be aware of. Now, talking specifically about perimenopause and menopause itself, again, like we were just discussing, this field is so new that I'm very happy to say that actually doctors are also talking about it. Now you have menopause experts, there is some training happening. It's not enough because half the population in the world are women and we don't have as many doctors who know about it. And all the women, just they go through menarche, they're going to go through menopause. So all of them need to be trained on this. Unfortunately, they are not, but hopefully we will get there one day with all of us talking about it. So that's my thoughts on it.
But that's so interesting. That's something that is like has been like evolutionary, like menarche. It's like it's a thing, and then menopause, and it's been happening for time immemorial, right? And then still doctors and women themselves are waking up to the fact. It's almost like it's kind of unbelievable when you think of it. And one of the I'll just add to what you said, Gayatri, is because another thing is when you go to a doctor and you say talk about your symptoms, most of the time what they say is if you're in your late 30s or your early 40s, this comes back to Ayshwarya's point as well. A lot of the times the doctors say, oh, you're too young to be experiencing these symptoms. And then you don't feel validated, right? they've not heard you, they've not really listened, so they're you're it's almost like the traditional way of women imagining their symptoms. And that's the hysteria. The word hysteria actually came from the fact that women used to go to doctors and they were always told, oh, you're imagining, because of the hormonal changes that were going through them. So that it's it's
The root word from the hysterectomy, hysteria.
Hysteria. So I don't know if anybody, Richa, do you have anything to add to this?
No, actually, I want to ask you, Gayatri and Sanjana, that for our audience watching this show, for them, what will be your advice then in current times when this knowledge is still building up and they may be going through symptoms? What is the right course of action they should take? I know this is not the focus of our today's topic, but a quick one-liner there. How should they go about it?
No, I think they should still go to the doctor, because a lot of the symptoms in this age could overlap with symptoms of other health conditions. So it is important you go to a doctor, gynecologist, a physician, and talk about your health. And the more women who go to them about this topic also, the more they will research and they will read about it and come back and answer. So we need more women, because women also don't go. Now I have brain fog. I don't go to a gynecologist. I'm like, I'm just stressed out. I'm just not feeling good. If you had heavy bleeding, you might go to a gynecologist. So the fact that no patients are coming to them, there are not enough patients coming to them for them also to do their background work, is a problem. So I think it has to work from both ends. So hence, I would really recommend women go to the doctors to find solutions. The doctors, if it is very serious, there are solutions that they will give you. If it requires medical interventions, they will give you medical interventions. If not, they might recommend lifestyle changes, because there are, for the milder symptoms, there are probably not medical interventions that are proven to work. So they may not recommend it. They will recommend lifestyle changes. And that's where platforms like us come in place, where we would like to bridge that gap between what medically they can provide and what and not be just suffering in pain with the symptoms at home. So we want to bridge that gap with the lifestyle changes. So it is important that you do go to a doctor and talk to them about it. But also it is important to understand there are solutions for milder symptoms. There are lifestyle changes which are helpful, and there are other platforms like us who can help you with that.
So I think one thing I'll just quickly add is that advocating for yourself is very important here, and tracking your symptoms, I would say, because how else will you have that information that you can give the doctor if you don't track your symptoms and you know what's happening when? So like a woman, like self-awareness, I think Anupama kind of mentioned it, right? Self-awareness is extremely important. I don't know, Anupama, if you have something to add to this, and then we can go to Ayshwarya quickly too.
Sure. I mean, so most things were well articulated already. The only thing that I want to add is, not every symptom requires a medical intervention, like Gayatri mentioned. So I think if women are more aware, they sort of track and log what's going on with them, and also look at the way they're living their lives, right? Look at lifestyle changes, because as we age and as we progress through every decade of life, our requirements change as well. It's like clothes. You can't expect to be wearing the same sort of clothes that you were wearing when we were in our 20s, right? So when we're doing it with clothes, I'm not saying for size, I'm saying for fashion, right? I would never wear my pavada chatti that I was wearing when I was in my 20s anymore, only because it's not fashionable, right? So when we're willing to do that with our clothes and accessories and everything else, I think we also need to take a very, very good look at ourselves and the lifestyle. So there are other interventions that are possible. There is no need for anyone to go through any symptom with a compromised sort of a life, right? There are solutions possible for everything. The choice really is whether it's medical or lifestyle. And I think most times it rests with us.
Yes, absolutely. So that's Ayshwarya, I don't know whether you wanted to add something to that. You're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking when one of the doctors we spoke to mentioned about lifestyle medicine as an adjunct course, right? So probably it. So now there is something like that. Only thing, it's very optional, or probably it's not just optional. It's not unknown as much as other
Fields,
courses
right?
are for medicos.
Yeah.
So probably boards should consider it as at least as an elective option for
Absolutely.
medical students.
Doctors.
That's absolutely true. I mean, I think this was a good bridge for our, we've talked about 30s being not too early to learn about menopause. We've talked about the doctor's attitude towards perimenopause and menopause. So what next? Richa, do you want to add what you have been thinking about?
Yeah. So I think one thing which I often come across is that women think that if they are in the menopause or perimenopause phase, weight gain is a given. There will be weight gain, and there can be nothing that can be done about it. But I'm coming across more and more women who are like as fit as they were before the perimenopause or menopause phase, and there's a lot of strength training conversation that has started coming up, not just from a weight management perspective, but also just to be healthy and really enjoy this phase rather than go through inconveniences or pains. So yeah, what do you guys have to say about that?
I think we'll start with Anupama because maybe she has the most knowledge about these topics, but please introduce what you do at Miyara as well, Anu.
Okay. So with Miyara, first of all, it's been such an exhilarating experience working with such a fantastic team of people, and the way we are able to impact other people around us, right? Families, friends, and so many other women that we come across in the work that we do. So primarily at Miyara, I oversee the lifestyle and fitness and training interventions that we provide in our customized plans. No two women are the same. Women are definitely not like men. So that's one of the key differentiators that we provide in our training and intervention plans. So saying that, one of the myths that I often come across, and I'm sure many of you have as well, is that if you have a large training history, that means if large part of your life, if you've trained, been in fitness, and been careful about what you eat, then perimenopause and menopause symptoms don't hit you. So it's something like what Richa has had also said earlier on. But fortunately or unfortunately, that's not true. Right. So while it's great for people to get onto the training and nutrition bandwagon pretty early in life, you will have an edge over somebody else who may not have, but this does not keep you insulated from the perimenopause and menopause symptoms, fortunate or unfortunate as it may sound. But what it will do is to help you manage it better, for sure, because you have a stronger body, you have a stronger ecosystem to manage it. So weight gain in menopause or perimenopause is normal, is an absolute myth, like what Richa said earlier. But it is going to hit you. Women are going to get a little bigger around their midsection. There is going to be weight gain. We are susceptible to insulin resistance. This is part of the raging hormones that happen in that life stage. But if with a proper diet and training plan, it's possible for us to keep it under check. Now, the aspirations also need to change, right? I cannot fit a 40-year-old body into a 20-year-old person that I was, right? So that shift has to happen. And I think it's more in the mind than in the body.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're constantly battling in our heads that I want to look a certain way, I want my skin and hair to be a certain way, I want my weight to be a certain way, for all of us and every other woman who's listening to this, it's not going to be, right? Because biological aging is a thing. We have to accept it. But it is possible, right? With strength training or with work on our balance, stability, mobility, it is possible to live a more healthier, a more well-rounded weight within manageable limits, right? It is possible. So if we just allow the pounds to just pile on, there will come a day that it becomes a serious medical condition. And I just want to bring this on the table here. I mean, there's a lot of conversation around body shaping. And I think many of us are hiding behind that as a sort of a thing that is okay. I think they're two very different things. Body shaming is an absolute no-no, but being overweight, which will put us into a predisposition to a medical condition, is a completely different thing,
Yeah.
right? So I just want that differentiation for everyone, for people of all genders to understand, right? So I'm not saying it from a size point of view. I'm saying it from an overall health and wellness point of view.
Yeah.
Obesity is a condition that is extremely prevalent globally, and the percentages have increased enormously post the pandemic, because whatever activity we were doing earlier, we have almost cut it down by half or even less, right? And we've not looked at our nutrition. So for perimenopause and menopause women, while we are battling weight gain, while we're battling insulin resistance, I think the way forward really is about strength training. Again, the myth is, strength training is only for some kinds of people. I think as we grow older, for all of us, strength training becomes critical for us to prevent a hastening of the lean muscle mass loss that will happen with age. Okay. And also to sort of regularize the hormonal changes that are happening. Nothing helps as much as strength training does. And clean eating. Clean eating is just not to keep the weight low, but also to prevent other diseases that women our age are susceptible to, like cardiovascular diseases, insulin resistance, osteoporosis, and things like that. It's not our fault, guys. It's just that we were made this way. But interestingly, we have every tool in the book to make it better for ourselves. Science is constantly researching this area, and that's very heartening. There's a lot of discussions and talks and scientific research for this age group. And I think we just need to be more aware and be more open to trying out different things and not hide behind this whole thing of, it's age, it's menopause.
Yeah. No, but I think what you're really saying is weight gain can happen in a sense, but it can be managed. So it's not something you need to take lying down. Like, hey, of course I'm going to gain weight, so why do something about it? So let's not, we don't want to take things lying down. There are things, interventions, lifestyle interventions that we can start from today, so that you reduce the effects of weight gain and perimenopause symptoms on your body.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I'm actually saying two things. I mean, for two categories of people. There are women who feel extremely disheartened by saying, you know what, I've been training 20 years of my life, and all of a sudden I find that I'm not able to get into the pair of jeans that I was 5 years ago. I'm saying expect it. It does not matter whether you have 20 years of training experience or 2 years of training experience. Perimenopause and menopause is going to do this to us. The other thing that I'm saying is, for women who have never done this earlier, it's never too late to start.
Right.
You don't have to tell yourself, you know what, I've never done it, so let me be. You don't have to be.
Yes.
Any day is a good day for all of us to start training and getting control over our health and wellness.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. Ayshwarya, do you have something to add?
Yeah. Also around, like Anu mentioned, strength. I've not done any strength training, though I've been trained in dance since my childhood. And then I think even people who have been doing some kind of physical activity throughout their lives, maybe a sports person or a dancer or someone who's been doing yoga. And now after I've started strength training, I can really feel a difference. So I think everybody should do. I'm for it. Yeah.
Gayatri, you have something to add?
No, I think Anu and Ayshwarya have explained everything, and I think Richa brought up a good point. This whole weight gain, does it happen? Can we do anything? It's not like, yeah, anyway, I'm going to gain weight. I'm going through menopause. I'm going to gain weight. So let it be.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the attitude, because letting it be is just not, it's not healthy. It's not about not gaining the weight. It's not the healthy way of treating that weight gain. But it's at the same time, like Anu said, it's not about body shaming or saying anything. That's a completely different issue. It's just that we need to be advocates, like you said, advocates of our own health. It's about a health medical condition issue. Yeah, Richa, I thought I'd hand it over to Richa if she wants to say something more about it, and also a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I realized I didn't introduce myself. So, I have been working with Miyara for the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm right now focusing on expanding the reach of this beautiful effort over to the corporates, and have more and more corporates enroll into the program and make women health a centerpiece of their employee policy. As such, I am I consult in the space of innovation and sustainability. I've been doing that for over a decade now. That's me. And I'm really happy I'm part of this conversation. Trust me, I have been working with you guys for so long, but it was still so enlightening and de-stressing to hear Anu say that, you will accept it that you will not fit into the genes that you were in when you were 20. It still bothers us, and it's a subconscious mental chatter which keeps, oh, a little weight here, a little weight there, right? And if you just accept it, it's so liberating. You can focus all of that energy into something more constructive, right? So I'm very happy that we're having this conversation.
I think we need to do a whole different session on acceptance, body acceptance, and, the way, because I think it's also the people around us, right? The first thing people say about you is the way you look. When you haven't met someone for a long time, like, oh, you've lost weight, oh, you've gained weight, oh, your hair is darker, hair is lighter. So I think there is a bit of conditioning in that. And this is the life stage where I feel like 40s, or late 30s, 40s, and beyond, we are just going to be more and more powerful. We need to be more comfortable in our skin. So these kind of conversations about acceptance is absolutely necessary. And just to say that, at Miyara, this is why we do offer these customized wellness programs, which is a component of fitness, nutrition, but also importantly mental health. Because I feel like there is this need for acceptance, this need of change of mindset is very important, and this need of taking a more holistic approach. So whether it's working together with your doctor with lifestyle interventions, or working with your nutritionist, your fitness expert, and your mental health expert, it's absolutely the need of the hour to deal with women at this life stage and beyond. I'm not saying before you don't need that, but especially during this time. And this is what we've come to understand with Miyara, because not only is this conversation important at home, but also at the workplace. And that's why we're happy to also have Richa expanding our reach to these different organizations and communities, and something that we've already started doing. But I'll just talk about what some of the things that I had in mind, and some thoughts that came to me when I thought about what are the things people are talking about in menopause, which they think are normal. And one of these things, and we had a more focused discussion on it, is incontinence, right? A lot of women think, oh yeah, this is normal. And they actually kind of laugh at themselves about it, right? It's a bit self-deprecating, and they say, it's normal to have incontinence, you're growing older, and things like that. So I wanted to discuss the topic of incontinence with all of you, and what your thoughts are on it. But another part of the discussion, I would like to focus on even sexual health issues, right? Menopause does cause menopausal symptoms. Some of them do affect your pelvic floor health, which might lead to incontinence, but it could also cause issues of vaginal dryness, low libido, and things like that. So, and they're also supposed to be normal, because as you grow older, you're supposed to forget about, having a sex life, or, forget about anything related to, being a woman. The feminine side of you is supposed to be lost, because why is it important, right? So I would love to discuss with the room your thoughts on that. Maybe we'll start with Gayatri.
Yeah, no, so that's a whole topic of pelvic floor, which I didn't know about till I think very recently. So one thing is, obviously the pelvic floor is spoken now more about postpartum, but for some reason, I didn't hear it even postpartum. Nobody really told me to work on my pelvic floor. But also during menopause and things, the pelvic floor gets weak. So what is a pelvic floor? I'll let Anu describe the pelvic floor. She does it really well. But the whole point is that it's an internal set of muscles that we don't see externally, and hence we don't talk about it. We don't talk about strengthening it. Yet it is holding a lot of our organs in place in a way that needs to be strong. Now, how does this, it obviously affects the urinary incontinence, and that is an issue even I have, which we need to really think about and work on it. That there is a solution to that, and it's not normal. The second thing about talking about sexual health, that is a combination of what we were talking about pelvic floor, but also the whole, even the whole mood swings, the brain, general mental health, and also that is a broader conversation on a whole bunch of perimenopause symptoms that will affect your sexual health. And that really needs to also be addressed. And a lot of people are doing, there are platforms that are talking about it. There are sexual health experts who are talking about it. Now it's what we just want to say is it's no more a taboo to discuss it. We are living longer. Hence, we also want to be happier. We want to have a sexual life for a longer time. Even if you're going through menopause, we do want that. So as women, so we need to talk to these experts if we have issues, that it's a whole combination of your physical plus your mental health when it comes to sexual health is what
Absolutely.
I think.
That makes sense. And we're actually next week on the 17th, we're having a conversation with a gynecologist and also a menopause expert on the topic of better sex at menopause. So do join us for that. But now I'll hand over to Anu, and if you have something to add on this topic.
Yeah. So, like Gayatri mentioned, the pelvic floor is least trained. Even if people are training for a very long time, nobody really pays specific attention to the pelvic floor because they think it does not belong to them at all. But interestingly, it is that set of muscles, voluntary and involuntary muscles and fascia, that holds all the organs for all genders in place, right? And as we age, it is a biological and physiological process that the muscles tend to lose its laxity, and therefore you have all kinds of incontinence, motion incontinence, urinary incontinence, and issues with sexual health. Now, there are some, depending on severity, there is medical intervention. Otherwise, it can just be trained for the muscles to get stronger. It's like any other muscle in our body, like your bicep, tricep, quadricep. You have to train the pelvic floor on a regular basis. So with perimenopausal and menopausal women, I would encourage all of you to start getting to train your core musculature, right? Now, the core musculature are the muscles that you cannot see externally. Okay, you need to train your core, and pelvic floor becomes one of the significant muscles of the core. Also, another myth here is people think, like Ayshwarya was mentioning, postpartum, a lot of medical practitioners and women focus on just the Kegel exercise, which is just one very small part of the pelvic floor health. That's not going to prevent urinary incontinence, for instance, or an anal incontinence, right? So it is important that we understand the whole structure of the pelvic floor. This may not be, I could go into a long discussion about the anatomy, so I don't want to do that. But it's important that all of us understand that it is necessary, so you can reach out to a coach to understand what it is and what you can do to get it better. Yes. But definitely, like you mentioned, Sanjana, it is not normal. A one-off accident which does not repeat itself is an accident. But a repetitive accident is a condition that requires attention. Absolutely. Right? And whatever age we are, it is not okay it compromises quality of life like no other. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think all of us need to be cognizant of it and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Richa, your thoughts on the topic?
I think this is an issue which is not talked about so often, but at the same time, it bothers you every day if you're suffering from it. So that's such a dichotomy, right? And And it's good that we're talking about it. And just for our audience here, Anu, then do you think that with exercise, this condition can be reversed altogether, or it can be controlled, but it is still an effect of that menopause, perimenopause phase, that some of it will still be there? What has been your experience with your...
Right. So there are various levels of severity, right? So if you're talking of organ prolapse, like for instance, for some women, the uterus prolapses down from its position, and therefore it pushes against the urinary bladder, which then causes incontinence. Now, in those kind of situations, just exercising the pelvic floor is not going to reverse it.
Okay.
But let's say all of the organs are in its place. There is no medical intervention that is required.
Mhm.
Strengthening the pelvic floor will be able to reverse incontinence.
Mhm.
So there is no one solution in the book. It requires a combination of both the medical practitioner and the lifestyle or the physiotherapist to look at the person and then make a sort of treatment plan on how to address it. While we're discussing this, I just want to say a couple of things. In general, from all of the things that we've spoken about, traditionally, women are somebody who sort of persevere with everything. We put our heads down and push through the hardest of situations, right? It comes to us very naturally, and therefore we're willing to do with any symptom that we experience in our bodies. If there was one thing that I'd like to tell all of us in this room and to every other person out there, I think we should stop doing it. We should change that to our strength. Persevere to be more aware and persevere to look for a solution, because there is one available for all of us. The second thing is there are also products for many of these.
Mhm.
Adult diaper was not meant for a 35-year-old woman who's suffering incontinence in silence. Right? So today we are making all kinds of products and we are allowing women to sort of manage the situation and not providing her the solution.
Yeah.
So I think that also we all need to be cognizant, and I think more conversations around these will actually help women realize that, you know what, this is not okay. There is no point in me using a pad or a diaper because I think I may have an accident.
Mhm. Yeah.
If we are doing it, I think that's a sign, a big red flag.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, it's
So,
interesting because women, I'll just add that women, it's almost like a feather on their cap, if they can persevere through life's difficulties and, suffer in silence. It's almost like a feather on the cap because of our conditioning and everything. It's also a very cultural thing that we're expected to suffer in silence, in a sense. Aishwarya, did you have anything to add?
Yeah. I wanted to add this thing. We are expected to suffer in silence, not just by the society, even by probably fellow women and doctors also in some cases. They just dismiss, okay, this is common in this life stage, you have to bear it. So that's the saddest thing. So I think self-advocacy is the only way we can try and change this mindset. First, start with the family, I think.
Yeah, I feel first start with yourself and then
And then your
ripple
family.
effect. Yeah, ripple effect on the rest of the society. But it's funny because you mentioned the doctors thing, because there've been a lot of studies done where women even in pain, right? Because they say the traditional thing is women manage pain better than men, but actually that's not true. The thing is women have always been dismissed, so they've never actually, their pains, they've been always suffered. So
And the women are okay with the dismissal. That
yeah, because they've
so
been
that
told
has to
it's
change.
normal, no? They've been told. So ever since we're young, whether it's period pain or pain during pregnancy or beyond pregnancy, we've been told, hey, you're a woman, you need to go through it. I mean, that's a huge discussion. I think we could talk for hours on that. But I think there is this, and I think the key point that came out in today's discussion was the self-awareness, the advocacy for yourself, and talking about it with your peers and your family, and having these kind of conversations that we're having today. So I think we did cover a lot of ground today. Any final words before we wrap up from all of you? Richa?
I think one message which I have taken for myself and I want to share it with our audience as well is two things as we approach perimenopause and menopause phase: self-care and self-awareness. Let's give ourselves that time to first observe ourselves, and also give ourselves that time to understand what's out there, to take care of the symptoms that I'm going through, and not feel guilty about spending that 1 hour on ourselves, for example, right? I think that's a message from my side on Women's Day to all women.
Ayshwarya?
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the session. I'm having a talk in my residential community this coming weekend. And I'm happy. I mean, most people around here are my age group. I'm happy to be spreading the message to them and bring some awareness so everybody takes care of themselves.
Okay. Anu?
I was just, as we were talking, I was just thinking every life stage, I think all of us as women have looked forward to. I actually looked forward to when I was going to get my first period. Um, and I think women look forward to being pregnant. I think women need to start looking forward to perimenopause and menopause. When that happens, that switch in our head actually changes, right? We look at it as an experience that we're going to enjoy. And I think the more we do that, the journey is going to be absolutely fantastic and enjoyable. I think that's the only message that I want to leave everybody with. Enjoy the journey. It's not at all as bad as it sounds, or it's made out to be.
Gayatri?
Yeah, everybody has nicely put out things. So I just want to add that women need not also do it all, as everybody's been saying. You need to be doing it all. I mean, women can do it all, and you're capable of it. Do what you can do. It is about you deciding what you can do, what you should do. I mean, I'm not saying that you cannot do it all, but you need not be forced to do it all. It's up to you to decide that.
Yeah. I think it's, like we said, it's self-care, it's self-awareness, and it's okay to take time for yourself. And I think like Anu says, we should look forward to perimenopause and menopause as this time where we can actually reflect and take care of ourselves, advocate for ourselves, whether it's with family members or set boundaries. And that comes into the mindset and mental health area, and move forward and thrive, like we always say at Miyara, thrive through menopause and beyond. And that's kind of what we have been telling people that we interact with. So I think, that was a great conversation. I just want to end with two things. We have a talk this Sunday on March 12th. I will leave the details in the description box for YouTube, so you can all join in. It's with a well-renowned menopause expert who practices in the UK, Dr. Vikram Talaulikar. And he is not only a menopause expert, but also does research. So he's very in tune with what's happening in the menopause space. So definitely do sign up for that. And as I mentioned, we will be going live on Instagram on the 17th with Dr. Neelima Deshpande. She will be talking about, we will be discussing better sex at menopause. So if you have questions regarding that and kind of bridging the conversation that we have today, we will be doing that. So again, happy International Women's Day. And thank you all again for this wonderful conversation. I wish we could go on we should do it again. And I wish we could go on for a few more hours.